I'm a personal trainer. I do strength and conditioning work. And I also do breathwork coaching. And so that takes many different forms, in person, online. And I do that in Brisbane. I'm also, I said I'd never go back to university, but I'm actually doing my master's in physiotherapy at the moment. And the reason I'm doing that is because the breathwork and the nervous system related knowledge and um, pathway I've taken showed me the pain that we can hold on to and the various levels and layers that exist within our own bodies. And the reason I'm going into physiotherapy is because I want to explore how that can potentially manifest into physical symptoms, and then long term look at pain management, both muscular in a musculoskeletal way in a very physical sense, but also I'm super passionate about the internal dynamics that exist within our own mind and body. And then I think with that, I'm going to look at how they are interconnected. And so look at that direction. So yeah, a couple of different moving pieces at the moment, but all things that I'm really
Exciting.
passionate about. So what got me into this was when I was in my late teens. I went through. Had a breakup where I was with someone for 5 years, and through the years of sort of graduating from school and then going out into the world, so pretty important in terms of understanding who I was. And then when we went through the breakup, I felt really anxious and weird symptoms started to happen. I started having these strange bodily symptoms. I'd be walking across a bridge and panic would come over me, and had never experienced panic before. And then symptoms of anxiety started to exhibit themselves, and all these weird symptoms where I was like, I need to look into this because I can't continue to go down this path. And I think what I was experiencing was levels of just nervous system dysregulation. And that set me on the path of learning about the nervous system. And I often find that our pain points are really great access points to our deepest treasures and learning. And that definitely was for me. And things I learned was stuff like, well, I would externalize my validation. So my validation came from external sources. How happy my partner was, how happy my parents were with me. These things stem from younger ages, how well I was doing, the accolades I was receiving, the compliments I was getting. And so because my sense of value was it was important based on the external environmental factors, I felt that that was a core learning in terms of seeing and meeting who I truly was. And so what I started doing was I found a guy called Wim Hof, and I started ice bathing. I started training properly. I started eating properly. Um, and then I started doing all of the factors that lead to just better health and well-being. One of the biggest learnings was around breathing, and breathing not only as a tool and a technique you can use, but breathing as a avenue that can take you into parts of yourself. Because what I'm finding is in the field, we can get so caught on the perfect technique, and breathwork is being studied, and breathwork is a tool that science is getting a hold of, which is great, and I think it's amazing. But I don't think enough emphasis is on where breathing actually takes people, because it takes people into themselves more deeply. And we get to meet parts of ourselves that maybe we've avoided or neglected or that feel really scary to go towards. But when we do it in a way with safety and love and understanding and compassion, we can bring a lot of great development and growth and learning and all of the beautiful things that come with life. So for me, coming back to the story, was breathwork was an access point into me seeing, like I realized I was like, I slowed down enough to see, hey, I was externalizing my value, or I was learning about who I was and recognizing, hey, I didn't really know who I was. And so that tool slowed me down enough for me to ask the questions about who I truly am and what I wanted to be and where I source my value from and all those sorts of things. And so from there, my mates were sort of noticing these things and started asking me um, take them through breath work and take them through ice baths. And then my work, that the gym I was working at, asked the same, and can you bring it into the gym? And I was like super untrained. And I was like, okay. Because all I had was personal experience. And then I went through my certifications and training and deeper dives, and then learned how much you don't know by learning how much there is to know. So that's sort of where we're at now, of just continuing that journey and continually learning about the process, and through meeting different people with different lived experience has been incredible to see the diversity of different ways that we can experience life and the different challenges that arise, which has caused me to expand how I can be there and serve people in this way. So,
ever experience anxiety or panic attacks now, or is that just something that is just history?
Panic attacks, no. I think the panic attacks were a symptom to me of severe dysregulation. And so because I went down that journey of really understanding that, I don't really find that I go into situations experiencing it. But nervousness, I would say yes. Whether that is a level of anxiety, yeah, potentially, depends on the situation. I think more now, I'm not too concerned what I feel. That sounds funny. I mean, in the way of whatever comes up, I know I have enough ability and tools and practices that can help me learn from it. So I never really look at, a lot of people, when they like unconsciously will look at like negative emotion as bad. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel scared, but I want to feel happy. I want to feel joy. I want to feel dopamine. And so my teaching and my self-belief, and then belief I help coach others through, is around understanding that emotions are teachers. And particularly the negative ones are actually some of our biggest teachers if we choose to look at them as learning rather than failure. And so, yeah, absolutely. There's periods where I feel nervousness, and before maybe I speak at events or, just different situations I find myself in. The severity of it, because I think I've prioritized self-regulation practice so much, the severity of it never feels like it fully takes over. And I think that's more so due to the fact that I feel, and my nervous system is quite resilient, and I've worked on my vagus nerve, and I've worked on self-reflection, and many different triggers can come up, but I don't get scared of them because I choose to look at them. And so when we make that choice of triggers come up or reactions come up, or we lose our top or whatever it is, if we choose to avoid them and not talk about them and not understand them, then more anxiety can persist because we're sort of rejecting a part of ourselves that exists. And so when we make the choice that we welcome all of the emotions, we welcome all of the triggers, we welcome all of the reactions and everything that's happening, we start to become more comfortable with those other emotions. And so that's probably been a really good learning in terms of feeling more resilient in the world, and not feeling so wielded by these emotions that are typically looked as negative or bad. So yeah, that's what I would say to that.
Yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. What I hear is just that sense of not fearing your inner experience, which I think is a lot of conditioning. We are sort of conditioned, really. Like, this product, you'll feel better. Everything's about happiness and joy. And if you don't feel that, there's something wrong. And I've seen the same in my life, that it's the essence of being human to feel it all. What the difference is in me and what I'm hearing in you is that I'm not frightened about it anymore. I don't have to drink or numb my way out of, or, avoid any of it, because it's all part of the richness of the human experience. I think, yeah, I love it. So it's no longer fearing what comes up. And just as you say, the gifts of what they are, what they're telling us, what they're teaching us. It's it's just so different, I think, to how we think it works. What is your sort of outline of the 4 sessions? What's a plan?
Each session will build on the previous session. I'm really glad we're doing it once every fortnight. I think that's good because it gives people time. If they miss the live, that's fine because it will be recorded. And it gives them that 2 weeks to sort of, hey, visit it and look at some of the exercises and the activities that we do there so that they can then practice it outside of that 60-minute time if they want to. It's all optional and there's no pressure. It just helps. So we go through a process of firstly, awareness is the first one. So literally the first week is just pure awareness. We look at reflective practice, we look at breathing exercise, awareness to multiple different things. That typically is the sort of first step inside understanding what someone needs or wants to go deeper into their life. So it gives people an opportunity to choose how they would like to move forward with many different areas. And it's totally up to them how they want to do that. But what it means is in the first week, we do breath awareness. So it's all about breathing awareness. Over the first 2 weeks, people will start to notice their breathing. They will start to notice when they hold it or when they lose sight of it, or they will start to notice when I say when they get polarized. So when they get polarized negatively or positively. So we start to look at just these natural things that take place in our life. And then we start to look at how we can bring our breathing into our life consciously so that we can show up in a way that we would want to. And then we also reflect on what things are taking place in my life that might be pulling me out of balance, or my thoughts or my beliefs or whatever it is. It just depends on what takes place for each person. And then each week builds on the next. So the second week, we look at regulating. The third week, we build our capacity. And our fourth week, we look at sort of integrating everything all together. So each week, we go through a process of reflection. We go through a process of lots of hands-on breathing. And then we look at some optional activities to do outside of that time. And again, there's no pressure with any of this. It's just how deeply someone wants to explore that. I just offer that as an opportunity if they want to take it. And then there's intertwined into all of the weeks, there's some education, there's some learning around what's really happening, what's happening in our body when we're stressed, what's happening in our body when we actually use our breath to self-regulate. I keep that quite simple because it is simple. And then each week we'll go through different techniques.